What happens when a person's greatest struggle is with themselves? Jacob was a man known for deception, manipulation, and ambition. Yet God took this flawed man and transformed him into the father of Israel. His story is one of struggle, redemption, and the power of divine transformation. But what does it teach us about our own faith journey? Let's find out. Today we are going to talk about Jacob. From deceiver to a man transformed by God. If you are new to our channel, please subscribe and share our channel. Jacob's life was marked by conflict from the very beginning. Even in the womb, he wrestled with his twin brother Esau. Genesis 25:22. His name, Jacob, means heel grabber or supplanter, foreshadowing his future struggles. But Jacob's story is not just about deception, it's about how God changes a person from the inside out. Jacob the deceiver. A life of striving. From a young age, Jacob was ambitious. He wanted the birthright, the blessing, and the favor that came with being the firstborn, even though he wasn't. 1. Stealing the birthright. In Genesis 25:29 through 34, Jacob took advantage of Esau's hunger, trading a bowl of stew for his birthright. 2. Deceiving for the blessing. In Genesis 27, with his mother Rebekah's help, Jacob tricked his father Isaac into giving him the blessing meant for Esau. Though Jacob got what he wanted, his deception cost him dearly. He was forced to flee for his life. Many of us, like Jacob, try to force God's plans through manipulation and control. But striving in our own strength leads to trouble. Jacob's exile, a season of refining. Jacob ran to his uncle Laban's house, where he himself was deceived. He worked 7 years for Rachel but was tricked into marrying Leah instead. Genesis 29:25-27. For the first time, Jacob experienced what it felt like to be deceived. God was humbling him, shaping him into the man he was meant to be. Sometimes, God allows us to face our own weaknesses so we can learn to depend on Him. Jacob's encounter with God, wrestling for a new identity. Years later, as Jacob prepared to face Esau again, he was terrified. But before he could meet his brother, he had to meet God. In Genesis 32, Jacob wrestled with a mysterious man all night. As dawn approached, the man touched Jacob's hip, permanently weakening him. Then the man, who was God himself, asked, "What is your name?" Genesis 32:27. Jacob answered, "Jacob." And in that moment, God gave him a new name. "Your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men, and have prevailed." Genesis 32:28. Jacob was no longer the deceiver. He was now Israel, meaning one who strives with God. This was the turning point of his life. Many of us wrestle with God, our past, our fears, our failures. But true transformation comes when we surrender. Jacob's reconciliation, a heart changed by God. After his encounter with God, Jacob met Esau. But instead of vengeance, Esau embraced him. Genesis 33:4. Jacob, who had once depended on trickery, now depended on God. He had been changed from the inside out. Lessons from Jacob's life for today: 1. God can transform anyone. No matter how flawed or broken, God can redeem and reshape us. 2. Striving in our own strength leads to trouble. Jacob's life was full of struggle until he surrendered to God. 3. Our identity is found in God. Just as Jacob was given a new name, we too are given a new identity in Christ. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Jacob's story is proof that God doesn't choose perfect people. He transforms imperfect people. Are you wrestling with your past? Are you trying to control your own destiny? God is calling you to surrender, just as He called Jacob. And when we finally stop striving, that's when we find true blessing.